Hello everyone, my name is Anaya Carter, and this video will be a synopsis and review of the Korean movie Default. Default was released in 2018 by a director named Choi Koo-ki. So, a little bit of background about him. He began his directing career in 2002 with a short film by the name of Blue Decoding. Later in his career, he began directing full-length films such as Default, Split, and most recently, Life is Beautiful. Aside from Default, his most notable film is Split, which he was awarded the New Flesh Award for Best First Feature at the 2017 Fantasia International Film Festival. He also attended the University of Wisconsin, which he majored in film. The film Default surrounded itself around four main characters. Kyung Hye-soo, who played as Han Shi-yeon. She started her acting career in 1986 with one of her most notable films being Taza, The High Rollers, which she was awarded her third Blue Dragon Film Award for Best Actress. Yoo Ain, who played as Yoon Jun-hak, and he had his film debut in 2006 with the film Boys of Tomorrow. He is most known for his roles in Punch, Secret Affair, and Veteran. He Jun-ho as Gasu. He had his film debut in 1986 with his most notable role in the 2003 box office movie Slamido, and Jo Woo-jin, who played as the Vice Minister of the Ministry of Finance, and he began his acting career in 2010 with some of his most notable roles in Guardian, The Lonely and Great God, Chicago Typewriter, and Mr. Sunshine. Default is about the 1997 financial crisis in South Korea and the IMF negotiations that followed. The movie begins with broadcast news about the financial crisis troubling multiple Asian countries. Jung Hak, who works as a financial analyst, attention peaks during the broadcast, with his predictions of Korea's economy crashing blossoming. A company owner by the name of Gasu receives an order for his bowls to be delivered to a big department store. Shi-hyun, the head of monetary policy, reports about Korea's impending crisis, which is sent to the Ministry of Finance. Jung-hak resigns from his job to be an independent investment advisor and profit off Korea's incoming economic ruin. He rounds up some of his previous clients to tell them about his predictions and how they can profit from it by trusting him. He only secures two clients who trust his judgment. The screen transitions to a meeting with the Ministry of Finance about what they should do about the crisis. Shi-hyun argues for the public to be informed, while the Vice Minister of the Ministry of Finance argues for it to be concealed and taken care of behind the scenes. It is ultimately decided to be kept concealed. Gasu accepts a promissory note as payment from his customer. Foreign media begins to write about the financial troubles arising in Korea. The pressure starts to rise as stores begin filing for bankruptcy, with one of those stores being Gasu's customer, making the promissory note worthless. Panic spreads and news stations broadcast about the crisis. Jung-hak's clients are pleasantly surprised to see that his predictions were correct and vow to full-heartedly follow him. Another meeting with the Ministry of Finance ensues, with the Vice Minister of the Ministry of Finance proposing they go to IMF, while Shi-hyun argues against it. It is decided that they will look into other options. As the crisis worsens, plans change and they turn to negotiating with IMF. But all allegations of financial crisis and IMF negotiations are denied by the government. Gasu tries to stay afloat and convinces his employees that the business is fine. During the negotiations, Shi-hyun confronts the managing director of IMF about his unfair conditions and possible partnership with the US, to which she is kicked out of the meeting. She tries to notify the public but ultimately fails, and the IMF negotiations conclude. 20 years later, Jung-hak is flourishing with his own company, Shi-hyuk, is asked to help address the aftershock of the IMF negotiations, and she vows to achieve her goal. The IMF, also known as the International Monetary Fund, is designated to support economic policies that encourage financial stability. South Korea became a member in 1955. The 1997 financial crisis was caused by accumulated foreign debt after the Korean War. The terms negotiated during the IMF negotiations, such as raised interest rates and increased engagement allowed by foreign bodies, proved to be unfair to Korean citizens. The only ones that benefited were the wealthy and foreigners. The effects of this deal led to increased rates of poverty and suicide. Overall, I believe Default to be a great movie that portrays the 1997 financial crisis in Korea very well. And the transitions fed into the atmosphere of the movie, seeing as it would transition from Gasu, who was struggling financially to keep his company afloat, and then go to Jungkook, who was flourishing in Korea's time of need and was benefiting off of the crisis. Then it would transition to Shihyun, who was desperately fighting to fix this crisis and be a voice for the Korean citizens.